Welcome. It's art, it's music, it's life, it's fashion, it's listening, it's learning, it's listening for the subtleties in life, it's sharing. It's determining and discerning fact from fiction, from illusion, from fantasy. It's art inspired by life. It's life inspired by art. We're living at a time like no other on planet Earth. Spiritual, physical, metaphysical, insights, wisdom, challenges. We're more connected by technology and less connected to each other. We're all seeking answers, and we're often too busy to listen for the truth. Her story and his story and our story. I research, I question, I look for answers to share with you, exploring higher visions. Authors and publishers and creatives all bringing us their empowerment tools, their insights. And I'm mining for those gems of wisdom. In these podcasts, we'll delve into the tears of sorrow, joy, awe, anger and overwhelm, the challenges, the triumphs of life. What works for some people and might work for you. We share the fiery energy of transformation, healing, inspiration, and lots of revelations. I am Catherine Whalen Costin, an author, an artist, a storyteller, a podcast producer and host. I'm a fellow human sharing this journey of life with you on the planet at this time. Let's chat. Let's explore. All right, welcome back. It's CWC Art and Soul, and I'm Catherine, host and the producer of this show. Today I'm going to be having a interesting discussion with my guest, Holly Blazina, and I am really looking forward to getting some info on gut health. That's her specialty, and I want to find out how she got there, how she got to exploring this. I've had my own experiences with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, and boy, I'll tell you, it's a hard journey, especially in 2000 when I was diagnosed. Nobody had a clue what it was about or how to try to treat it. And so I'm really curious to see what she has discovered about gut health. And I know she's got some services that she can offer, and she'll tell us about that. So this is going to be really fun. I'm super excited. And of course, subscribe if you don't want to miss these wonderful chats. I've got so many interesting guests coming up and ones from previous. You can watch those podcasts on Apple Podcasts or listen to them on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and it is now on my website. You can listen, and then it's on YouTube usually, and this one will be, of course. And I'm trying to make sure that I get the subtitles correct so that people who have hearing problems are able to get the full and truth on the subtitles, because the subtitles that are auto-generated are often not accurate. So I'm really trying to do that and do timestamps so you don't have to watch the whole video if you don't want to, or if you've watched it and you want to go back to something, then you've got the timestamp. So I hope that's working for you, and I'd love to put a comment in there and let me know if that's working for you, if you appreciate those timestamps and the subtitles, or if they matter to you at all, because it does take a lot of time to do, let me tell you, but I love doing it because I want to reach as many people as I can with these wonderful guests and the information that we're sharing. So thank you so much for joining me, and let's get into this chat right now. Okay. All right. So welcome to CWC Art and Soul, and my guest today is Holly Blazina, and she's going to talk and share her journey
about gut health. That's the major thing, but so much more. How she got to this point to be discussing gut health and being a flamenco guitarist. I'm so curious about that. Like I'm really curious. So welcome, Holly. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me on your show today, Catherine. I really appreciate your audience and you.
I'm very grateful. I mean that's really to me is sharing stories. That's what life is all about is that connection to each other, and we learn so much from each other, and you can't do it in 140 characters. You just can't. That's why we have to have discussions. So okay, so Holly, are you in Alberta?
I am. Yeah, I'm in Calgary. I live in
Yeah,
North.
so Calgary, Alberta, Canada, for people watching around the world. What are you doing today? And then I'd like to go back to how are you teaching yoga? Is the gut health part of it, or how do you combine those two things?
Well, thank you for asking that. I actually combine all three of the gut healthy yoga and the flamenco.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
so the gut health, I'll just start off by saying that the gut health piece of it started off as like an Ayurvedic piece. However, so I'm trained in Ayurveda, and I do the lifestyle part of Ayurveda.
For
Herbal
people who don't know, what is Ayurveda?
Ayurveda, yeah, that's a great question. So Ayurveda is the science of life and longevity, and it came up alongside the yoga system. So the yoga system in India is very different than the yoga system here. Here we think of yoga and we think of going to class and doing downward dog.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And it's not that that doesn't happen, but it also it's a whole system that promises enlightenment, really. And so we have all kinds of systems now in our world that promise enlightenment. And at the same time, the Ayurvedic system is like the health and diet and lifestyle component that allows the body to become the conduit.
Okay, so
Or
more
the,
holistic. I always think of
yes.
yoga from India as more of a spiritual practice,
Very much
although
so.
physically, physical movement, but it's a spiritual practice. It's just not the same. The Western side of it is very different than what they're doing. What was originally came from India, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, I mean it certainly can be. There's a lot of just sort of the physical yoga that occurs in our Western world. And yeah, you're correct that the yoga system is very much, it's meant to be a spiritual system.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be something that is there for personal and spiritual growth, for sure.
I just had a bell go off my head. Anything can be a spiritual practice. Anything,
Of course.
anything can. It's about mindset, mind body connection. It's just
Isn't it?
yeah. Just all of a sudden, I went, but everything you do is spiritual. If it, you're
Yeah,
in,
if you're doing it in that way, for
yeah,
sure, for
yeah.
sure. So yeah, the Ayurvedic system is something that really allows us to, you know, make the body a good home. And even the way that I practice Ayurveda is different than the way they might practice it in India. So, for example, if you become an Ayurvedic doctor in India, it's basically like a medical degree.
Oh,
So on my end, though, again, I'm not necessarily doing prescriptions for people, herbal or otherwise. But what I do really love and what I've always been interested in from the very beginning is all of the lifestyle practices
mm,
that support the work. So
okay.
because we don't all, I mean, I'm not necessarily, it's not that I don't take supplements, but I don't take a lot of them. And I'm not a believer. I'm a believer in taking care of my life and my energy and what's on my plate first, and then supplementing later.
Okay. Now let's go back a little bit.
Mhm.
Did you grow up in a home that was focused on a more natural lifestyle and way of eating, or would you say you were more of the traditional meat and potatoes, fast food kind of?
So meat and potatoes, lots of veg, not much fast food. And so we ate a lot of whole foods in the home that I grew up in. And at the same time, I mean, when I look back, and I remember my parents being, really quite concerned about how much sugar we were eating. And yet, if we wanted to do a baking project, we didn't even have to ask my mom to put things on the grocery list. Those foods were already there in the cupboard, like sweetened condensed milk and chocolate chips and all of that. So, and we baked multiple times a week.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's
like
pretty much how I grew up too. It was kind of part of, those are staples. And, and there wasn't, I'm sure I'm a lot older than you, but, there wasn't a lot of fresh vegetables when I was growing up. There was a lot of canned, and even frozen wasn't that popular, but just to get fruit and vegetables, that's why it was such a big deal at Christmas time when we would get the mandarin oranges, because we didn't get them all winter. It was a big deal to have them.
Right.
Yeah, so very different in the way that things are so much more available today, and how we've come to how we grow food, where we can grow it, and so all the different ways. According to your bio, you mentioned that you developed fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. When did you develop that?
In my own case, I'm not as certain about the fibromyalgia. I had chronic fatigue for sure, but I ended up with mono when I was 17, and I got over the acute part of it. And then one morning one moment in my 20s, in my early 20s, I woke up and I just went, I don't think I'm supposed to be this tired all the time. Mm-hmm. So I started investigating, and, you and I were talking earlier on. And for me, this was in about 1991, maybe. Mm-hmm. So I went to my family doctor and ruled out things like cancer and all that. And then he just said, well, given that you don't have anything that is diagnosable, my non-diagnosis for you is that you're a candidate for chronic fatigue syndrome. He says that's the best we can do right now.
Yeah, it was very, when I was diagnosed in 2000, there was only two things I recommended: antidepressants and painkillers. And because of the fibromyalgia, it depends on how it affects you. It can be so painful. And I didn't want either of those. I knew there was something much deeper to it. But I also had mono several times as a teen, and I didn't make that connect. Like, I didn't connect with what you're, but I definitely, there's so much about this that's not yet known. And it was funny because my family doctor, he is passed now, but he was an amazing guy, and he didn't know what was going on. What is this? But he said, yeah. And he was saying that people with higher pain tolerance often end up with the chronic fatigue. People with, or that's how it shows up. They're both, it's the same illness. It's just that one will show up more than the other. And I had kind of both. But
wow.
Yeah. So, but it was interesting because he said to me, look, I don't know what we can do. And then he started searching. He was an older man and, trained traditionally. And somebody brought to his attention this book that was written in the US, I believe. It was called What Your Doctor Doesn't Want You to Know About Fibromyalgia. And he phoned me up and he said, this guy, Dr. Saint Amand, I believe was his name, he wrote this book. I have no idea if what he's saying in here is, but maybe get it and see. And if it's something we can work with, and we can work with it. And so that was really refreshing. And it started me down the path. I won't say that everything in that protocol fit for me, but I think what it did do, it empowered me. Because my doctor was saying, you know what, Catherine, you actually do know your body. And I had not heard that before from a doctor at all. And, so it was really, yes. And that's what really got me moving on my own path to reclaim my life and to do my healing. And as anyone who's read my memoir will know, I really went through it. Fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue was a symptom of a much deeper part of my healing journey, which had to do with a lot of trauma, multiple premature deaths in my family, and so forth. So I did go into that, but I didn't talk about all the protocols regarding the fibromyalgia, and what I did to claim my life back. But
wow.
Yeah. It is, I feel like this time on the planet, I'm really healing a lot of intergenerational wounds and exploring much deeper into patterns and how the body is responding to the wounds, the energy that's on the planet, and how we're taking that in. So, and remember, people, this is not medical advice. There is no medical advice offered on this show ever. So just, we're talking from personal experience and from what we believe to be something we're sharing. So,
yeah, well, and if I can just pick up on the healing piece, one of the things that I've ended up adding into my work is subconscious belief shifting, because it is massive. And then, so also to tie into the yoga classes that I'm teaching are specifically for gut health.
Okay, so, and maybe now you could just, you have classes that people could, if they're interested. I mean, I know
Absolutely.
We're not even, but you might as well give us a link if you have a link.
That's
that they can.
Best to just contact me through my website.
Right.
And then,
I will put the website link right on the video and in the description box below for people. And it is on the bio on the website, cwcartandsoul.com. So that's really important.
No problem at all.
There's a place they can go to get the information.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it was really exciting for me, because I was like you on the healing journey. Just like, it took a couple of years of real engagement with it, where I started on this. I mean, I had chronic fatigue and Candida, insomnia, repetitive strain injuries, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was on a Candida diet for a long time that unfortunately didn't make me feel better when I was on the diet, but it made me feel worse when I cheated. So it's like the worst of worlds. But in the
wasn't
end,
the cure, but it was there's something.
Well, the thing that was interesting is that it was after I started doing yoga that things started to really move. And I honestly don't think that I don't think I would have gotten better just from doing yoga alone. I think it would have been it's the yoga was what started it in the right direction. I mean, and at least with the diet, it was just the beginning of a whole lot of learning, I would say. And
do you think that, I mean, that's what's come to me, is that there is no magic pill. There is no one thing. We are so complex, physical, spiritual, mental, energy bodies, that we just can't, one thing isn't going to do it. We have to use all of our tools in the toolbox.
Definitely. And when I hear people say, oh, I just need to know which foods are going to work for me, I always have in mind that, yeah, I know. And once you know which foods are going to work for you, then you're going to have 5 more questions that you need answers to. And so one of the things that I learned in the course of my healing journey, because like I said, I went to my doctor and he said, okay, you're a candidate for chronic fatigue. We don't really know what to do about it. We can't even diagnose you with it. I then went to a naturopath who gave me, this Candida diet that I went on. And now when I give my clients protocols for these kinds of things, there's all kinds of stuff that I was doing that I don't recommend to my clients anymore, because I think that in some cases, the things I was doing were detrimental.
But you really tapped on something too. It also has to do with our belief.
Well, for sure. It has to do with our belief. It has to do with how the energy is moving through your system, how you're holding residual energy in your system. And the thing that I learned from going to the naturopath, and I went to her maybe 2, maybe 3 times, is that, and I went to a number of different other practitioners, and it's just like, wow, that combo platter only would really work if there's a method to that healing, like just those one-off appointments.
Yeah.
There's no vision to that.
No, and it's interesting because I think as a lot of people will have experienced by now, because we've been learning to take back our own power, to get to know ourselves. And this is, as we were talking earlier, I mean, you have to be careful, because sometimes you can get into that cycle of, I'm broken. What needs to be fixed now? What's my next thing? Okay, I fixed that. Now what's wrong with me? Kind of thing. And you never get to that point where you can say, I'm actually healthy. I'm great. I'm wonderful. It can be almost addictive to be always looking for the next thing to fix, or and instead of to sit and celebrate, wow, I have no pain. Wake up in the morning, I have no pain.
Yes.
And if I do have a pain, it comes, it goes. I don't have to be constantly telling myself, oh, it's that. My mom used to call her arthritis art. Like it was a part of her, my friend Art, and would show up. And I'd be like, why do you claim that? Like, why do you make it's, instead of it being just.
And now in the work that we do, we teach people how to let go of those things.
Yeah.
Right. Because it becomes a whole personality. Like there's a whole personality that's a sick personality, or the broken personality. And unfortunately, I mean, I was hearing a podcast yesterday where somebody was asking, like, why is it that we have this whole thing going on, this whole brokenness, this whole unworthiness? And it was Tara Brock that I was listening to. And she said, if you listen to the media at all, everything is all about, like you're just not complete without this, or, there's something the matter with you, or you're in pain every day, and all of these things. And so that pain messaging, and also that deficiency messaging.
Yeah, you're not enough. If you don't have
everybody's not enough.
This toothpaste, this kind of coffee, if you're not, doing this with your family, and then, and then don't stop and listen to your body. This is what always gets me. Don't let pain stop you. And I'm thinking,
right.
But pain is a messenger. It's like a red flag just went up and you're going, no, I'm just going to take a pill and get rid of that. I don't, just push through it. I don't need to pay attention. Well, your body's telling you something. And, no wonder we end up with people who are bedridden because they didn't stop that first time and slow down. Just, doesn't mean you have to stop. I get it. You're running a race and you want to get to the finish line. I get that. And maybe you're willing to put up with some pain for that period of time. But the truth is, if you're in pain, your body is telling you, hey, this isn't going to work. And, the next thing you know, you're going to the doctor. I don't know what happened, but my knee doesn't work, or my ankle, or whatever. Well, the alarm bells were going off long, long before. So, and I know there's other philosophies that say, in today's world, we shouldn't have any pain. And I'm thinking, well, that'd be kind of like saying we shouldn't have any fire alarms, because it is our body talking to us, and it's our choice to listen or not listen. But I just find it interesting that that's the kind of, the messaging is constant. Like you said, we're broken. There's something wrong with us, or we're not wearing the right clothes. We're not using the right products. And it's all about making us feel inferior and willing to put our money towards something that's going to make us feel great. Like, I know when I brushed my teeth this morning, I was looking at that tube of toothpaste and saying to myself, man, I am such an amazing person because I use this toothpaste. Really? Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? Do you? That's
that's the collective talking to you, right?
Absolutely. But like when you're in the supermarket and buying it, a lot of times you're going towards that one. You've been hearing that message for so long, you're not even looking at the ingredients anymore. You're just grabbing, oh yeah, that's the one that,
that somebody uses.
Or somebody in a white coat comes on and says that I recommend this, and you go, are you an actual dentist?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I have to say, one of the things that I get a lot of joy from is showing my clients, like just kind of pointing them in a good direction, giving them the tools and basically turning their symptoms, like turning down the volume on those symptoms so that then those symptoms can turn into indicators for them.
Yes.
And so that's the language we end up using. It's like we stop talking about symptoms and we start going, well, what are your indicators now?
Yes, excellent. Excellent. I mean, that's what they are. It's communication.
Yes. Yeah. And if you can't communicate with your own body, then maybe start there.
Exactly. But the thing, most of us cannot avoid those media messages, but what you can do is talk back to them. Don't let it just go, and talk back to it. I love talking back to commercials. I'm walking through the living room, the TV happens to be on, and I hear the whatever it is, and I will say something back to them. Oh, for sure, look at you, and
the language that's used. I mean, I saw something come into my inbox where it was like one of the things that was being sold was these really special eye masks so that you can look rested. And I was thinking to myself, well, if you actually were rested, you look rested, why would you want to buy something so that you could look rested and not actually get rest?
I know, that's priceless. It's like to give the illusion,
that everything's okay.
Yeah, let's give the illusion.
Because we know it's not.
But it can be. And that's why I love talking to people like you, that it's like, it can be. And I don't think that message that I got, for instance, with fibromyalgia was, this is it. I was 40. This is it. This is the end of your life. You got it. This is it. And there's nothing you can do. And I recognize the family history of that kind of thinking. It's like, your mother's got rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis. And so, of course, this is an autoimmune disease, so it's genetic. So that's, and I thinking, there's something genetic here, all right. But it isn't that. It's just the fact that she had trauma and didn't deal with it. I've had a lot of trauma and didn't deal with it. Like I can see something else here that's not just about, the genes just did this because, no. There's a reason why this happened. So I think there's just a lot more in it, and combining different modalities the way you are. And when people come to you, do they, is that why they come? Because they know there's a gut problem, or is it that obvious? Like, do people always know it's their gut?
When people sign up for a program, for sure they know that it's their gut. And of course, in the messaging that I'm sending out, I'm making the connection. I mean, one of the connections that I've been making lately that is really exciting to me is making the connection between empaths and intuitives, creatives, introverts, heart-centered people, and gut issues.
Really?
Yes, because this was just like an absolute. It was one of those things that could only happen while I was doing something else. And it was just like off the top of my head, this is what showed up. And I went, oh my goodness, if I talk to these people, I'm no longer going to have to make the connection between all of those other things and the energy that you're running through your system and gut health. So,
but just when you say that, I'm thinking of we all say this. Listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. Yes. Listen to your gut. When you listen to your gut, that's intuition. That's being an empath. That's your gut, your inner voice, your heart wisdom, the saying that we've always had is, far back as I can ever remember, people say, did you listen to your gut? Did you listen to your gut on that decision? Yeah, it was a gut decision. you know?
Yes, exactly.
So,
And I'd love to pick up on what you're saying, like in the heart as well, because we talk about the gut brain axis, but what most people are not talking about is the gut brain heart axis, because the heart is in the middle of that. It is one of the processing centers in our body. We've got the gut, which is like the lower three chakras. We've got the heart, which is the middle chakra, and then the brain, right? Or like, and our whole expression, like all of the chakras are involved in that. They're
throat,
all involved.
third eye, back of the, yeah.
Exactly.
Crown.
Spiritual center, and so.
Okay, so what are you saying then? This is all connected and it's all part of that intuition. And if my, is it my gut that is out of sync, or is it my life that's out of sync that's making my gut not feel good? Is it my gut making my life feel and my body not good, or is it the other way around? Or is it both?
Well, the axis, as far as I understand, the axis goes both ways, but usually what happens, okay, so there's, for sure, there's everything on the material plane that's occurring. And yet at the same time, I've had clients come to me that have been on like a super strict diet. And sometimes the super strict diet is the problem, to be honest. But, maybe they've been eating really clean and they're still not getting results. And so we tweak that on the physical level, but then right away, I take a look at the nervous system. What's going on in the nervous system? Because our nervous system, actually, there's a huge part of it that goes through the gut. Mm-hmm. We've all had the experience of being so nervous or upset that we couldn't eat. Like when we're nervous or upset and we try to eat something, like depending on matter of degrees, right? But I mean, as a person who's been through life, just like the rest of us have, if you put something in your mouth when you're that upset, it tastes like sawdust.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll even get that
caught in your throat. Yeah, exactly.
Closes just right up. You just can't.
Just can't. So that's when there's something in the immediate moment. But also when there's something, say you're talking about trauma or we're talking, I mean, you can't believe how many empaths I've spoken to who in the last 2 years have said, my gut was working just fine before everything shut down. And now it's a mess, right? Because they're picking up on all the stuff. It's sticking to them. Right. Like I'm constantly learning about this too. Right. Because I'm an empath. So why is all the stuff that's going on? Why is all the stuff that's going on in the world not sticking to my nervous system? Why is all this stuff to me, I'm excited about a lot of the things that have come about. Like there's so many good things that have happened. Mm-hmm. Why is it that I'm picking up on those good things and some people are picking up on all the drama and pain?
And what's the answer?
Well, it's individual, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, for the people who are picking up on and of course they're pointed to it in some way.
Yeah.
Right? So they're pointed to it, or they're wired for that. And it doesn't mean it can't be rewired. It can be rewired. I mean, I used to be the person who would go into the grocery store and be practically catatonic at the checkout, looking at all the colors of the magazines and under the fluorescent lights and all the noise and all the people and boxed in and all that. And I would go home and have a 3-hour nap afterward.
Yeah. This is really important. This is where we're starting to take back our power to understand that, like a lot of people who felt very strongly the lockdowns, the isolation, that's all they talked about. If you go on social media, that's all you hear. We're so sick, we can't go anywhere, we can't do anything, we can't. And I was thinking, like, it's an opportunity as well. It's an opportunity to get to know the house you've been living in, that you used to leave first thing in the morning and come back late at night. maybe you didn't see your kids, maybe you didn't see your spouse, you're working, they're working, the kids are like babysitters and sports and whatever. So now you're in a situation which is very similar to our ancestors, who, before we had the Industrial Revolution, family was together all day long. Mm-hmm. And people go, yeah, well, this isn't then. I got a life to live and I got a blah, blah, blah. But it was an opportunity. It could be seen as an opportunity if you want to. And it's the same.
Well, for sure. And I wouldn't take anything away from somebody who is genuinely stressed out in that situation. I mean, the change is hard. It's very hard.
And I wasn't trying to dismiss
no, exactly.
Or to suggest that it's not stressful. It is stressful. All change is stressful. Humans hate change, and it's the only constant. We don't like it. It's like it's like our biggest resistance. I like it the way it is, even though, it's uncomfortable or whatever. This is what I know. And it's a choice. And I feel like this is the time on the planet when we finally actually have choice, more than we had historically years ago. But we're not asserting it. We're still allowing ourselves to be programmed by, like we talked about, media or...
Well, for sure. And it's like, if you didn't have a meditation practice before all of this happened, hopefully you have one now. And if you don't have one now, maybe it's a good idea to get one because this isn't just the end of all of the changes.
No, we're evolving as a planet. Totally. And meditation is our natural way of being. Meditation.
It is.
This busy stuff that we've been thinking was normal. I mean, even you don't have to go back that far. Even when I was a kid, I remember in the summertime, especially, everything was, because in Canada in the wintertime, you don't really see a lot of people. School and home, it's freezing cold and you're shoveling snow all the time. But in the summertime, I just remember school being out and you get a box of comic books and you'd have your bunch of comic books and your friends had comic books and you spend all day reading comic books or reading a novel or, and laying outside on the grass with the trees, nobody bothering anybody about anything, adults going to the beach with the kids, whatever. But it wasn't about who had the best bathing suit or that there had to be a venue. The beach was in the bush. There was I think there was a chip truck that came along sometimes, or ice cream truck or something every so often, but it was in the middle of nowhere. And so it was so relaxed. I mean, there was no cell phones, nobody. You went to the beach, you packed your picnic, you were there for the day. Nothing was interrupting you. Whatever was going on at home or the office or the whatever, it's gone. You were really, feet in the sand, kids playing, very relaxed. Really relaxed when I think about how different that was. No real worry about, I got to hurry up and get home, get supper made because somebody's got to go somewhere. No, it's summer. Everybody was, and I'm not talking about people going on holidays. I'm just talking about.
No, this is just normal life in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer. Or, and we're not doing that. We're not, and that's why I'm saying, we are buying into a lot of labels. Even the empath thing.
Yes.
It's becoming, I remember when it came out with, I can't go there because people wear perfume. Now, nobody can wear perfume in this place or this place or this place. Nobody can wear perfume. And I'm thinking, are you guys for real? Yeah, I understand allergies and sensitivities. And I'm sure somebody watching this, well, I am so sensitive. I understand that. But why? Why are you so sensitive?
Why are you so sensitive? And I mean, to be honest, Catherine, this is one of the reasons I really love the Ayurvedic model, is because it recognizes that at a core level, one of the core principles of it is that when we're out of balance, we're oversensitive. And so the whole model is all about getting back into balance. And
because you can't change the whole world. You're not going to do it. You've got to But you're not powerless. That's the part that I
Well,
really...
exactly. We have the tools and the system works. I used to have a list as long as my arm of things that I was allergic to and sensitive to. Now that list is 0.
Wow.
I'm not even allergic to dairy anymore. And I was
Wow.
allergic to the protein in the milk.
Wow.
You know, and I shop at Costco sometimes. I can be around aggressive people that are yelling, not that I love to be, but it's like, if I have to be, I can, and I can hold my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that space, you know, like it's not a thing that's going to take me out.
No. And it's about learning to get your own energy in balance, like you say, so that you can be in the world, but not of it. You can walk through the world and you can meet people, and you'll find that you actually can navigate whatever is coming. Like they say, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. But I don't even go that far. I think life just happens. It's got nothing to do with you. Life is happening. It's happening. It's like the trees are blooming, and it's got nothing to do with me. But it is in my reality. So I can choose to, I can say, wow, look at the beauty, or I can look, harder for something negative. But if I choose to, I can see a lot of beauty in the world. And I know it is harder right now, not because you can't see it, but because of the saturation of negativity. And people are even afraid to post. People are afraid to share, life is good. This is a good thing. This is a good day. It's a great day. Because somebody else is going, it's not a great day over in my house. Oh, this happened and that happened and I can't go here and I can't, We're more comfortable listening to people complain. And that to me is contagious. Happy, joyful is, they're both contagious.
I love to say that social media is the ultimate law of attraction, because what you pay attention to, you will definitely get more of. The algorithms are designed for it.
Yes.
And so I just go ahead and post the things that I'm doing that are working for me and that I'm enjoying and loving and that makes life feel big and juicy and delicious. And the people who like and comment on those things are the people that I want to have in my world.
Interesting too. I just thought of something that, and they're going to see your stuff because they're on the same vibration, same wavelength.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
And so when people complain, I don't think people are seeing my posts, which they do periodically say, I don't know, but nobody seems to be commenting or seeing my posts. It could be either way. Either your friends are on a very low vibration and you're posting really happy, joy, but not likely, because you wouldn't be complaining that nobody's right, because you don't care. Because you're like, but I'm happy. So maybe that's something to look at, is if you're not attracting what you want, maybe change to be that what you want, and then that will come to you.
And also, if you'd like to receive that, try giving it.
Also excellent. Yeah. Okay. So getting back to the gut.
So let's start with the yoga. So the yoga training that I have was a 600-hour 2-year program.
Oh, wow.
We're not talking about, and this was at the time when yoga trainings were becoming popular and people were taking like a 40-hour weekend workshop and then being encouraged to a 40-hour, or like, it's not a weekend, but a 40-hour workshop and then encouraged to teach.
Wow.
So I ended up taking a 600-hour program in yoga training. So it was pretty comprehensive, and it had like it had all 8 limbs of the yoga system, not just asana, not just the postures. Awesome. And then in the course of that,
so you know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, this is really important.
I know what I'm talking about. And honestly, this is one of the things that allows me to teach yoga classes for people of all different shapes, all different sizes, all different body types, all different abilities. And at the time that I was studying yoga, I had scoliosis. I had the chronic fatigue happening. I had the Candida happening. I had multiple repetitive strain injuries. In fact, in my first career as a musician, when my physiotherapist found out I did yoga, she said, if you ever stop, your playing career is going to be over.
Okay, so that's a perfect little dovetail here. What is this? Is it flamenco?
Yes.
Okay. I've never said that right. I know that, I can tell right now. Flamenco. Guitarist. Mm-hmm. And so that is fascinating to me. That is absolutely fascinating. So how did you start that?
Well, for me, that was like a trail of breadcrumbs. When I was 8 years old, I had an aunt who played the guitar. I wanted to be just like her, so I needed a guitar. So my parents got me a guitar. We also happened to have a family friend who is Chilean, and I would hear him speaking Spanish, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is so cool. I actually have chills right now even thinking about that.
So musical, just even the language, right?
I know.
Italian, French,
I
Spanish.
know. Yeah. So, and my grandmother was a jazz lover, but she basically introduced me to Paco de Lucia, who's a very famous flamenco guitarist. Like not introduced, but introduced me to his work.
Yes.
I would have loved to have met him.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened? I met him musically.
Well, sometimes that's the same thing. I mean, it's all energy.
Oh my goodness. It was going to happen. And so and then I ended up getting a degree in classical guitar performance. And 3 months before I graduated with that degree, there was a player who moved here from Toronto that had been studying flamenco for many years. So it's like I left my degree with this vision opening up that, oh, great, I get to start studying flamenco. And this is so cool because this was right at the moment where I was starting to get better. So I had all of like the chronic fatigue, the Candida, and I was, I knew I was getting better when I could sleep 10 hours a night and wake up feeling rested.
Yeah.
So I started doing yoga about 6 months before I started studying flamenco. And so the yoga was the first piece that started to really make me feel good.
Oh yeah, I can see the connection here now.
Right? Yeah. So it's, and this is the thing is that, so I've been waiting since before I even knew what to call it to study this art form. So you bet I was getting better.
Yeah, but you were getting better, but I feels like music is like a natural healing tool, music. And you got the yoga and the music, the energy, the vibrations, the movement,
Well, I was playing music before that. I played classical guitar from the time that I was 14, but it didn't light me up the way flamenco did. And so I went from waking up in the morning and going, I have to get up, to my very first thought being, when am I going to practice?
I love it.
Like I woke up with a reason to live every day.
Yeah. So it's not just any music. It's not just anything. It's the thing that lights you up.
It's the thing that lights you up. And coincidentally, and you'll understand this as well with a person who's had, we'll just say, a lot of life experience. Life really came your way. And like you said, you've been doing a lot of healing of the intergenerational stuff. I myself have been doing that too. And, had a lot of life experience. What I especially found about flamenco that resonated with me was that in spite of all this negativity that we talk about, we cannot go into this world even today and say, my heart is broken. I'm really, really sad today. We can't actually do that. And so what happened for me with flamenco was that because it's got the happiest of happy music and it's got the saddest of possible sad music. It is like blues for the gypsies. So for me, because it had all of those emotional nuances, you could sing about your heart being broken. And it's the guitarist's job to incite the singer to sing.
Wow.
And so for me, listening to that music that would just make you want to curl up into a ball was the most healing thing for my soul.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that there's certain music that, and I can't tell you specifically what it is, but there's certain notes that it's like boom, tears
Yes.
just rolling down your face. You don't, you know, something.
Absolutely. And I mean, even in a language that I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know,
do you play professionally? Do you play music?
Yeah, I play concerts. One of the things that I'm super excited about, and I developed this musical journey through the chakras a number of years ago, and it is now I'm performing it again. I've got a performance coming up for it.
Ooh, nice.
So yeah, and it's meant to be something that is truly transformational. It was, I mean,
For
inspired.
meditation or for?
Oh, all of it.
So are you doing it as do you have a CD or is it?
I do. Yes, I do have a CD as well.
Nice. Okay. Where can people get that? On your website?
They can get it on my website. Okay, so I've got two different websites. One is for gut health, the other's for flamenco. They might have to become integrated at some point. But if your listeners just go to hollyblazina.com, they can order a CD. It's also on all the platforms. Okay. So the CD is, again, one of my lifelong dreams, and one of those things where it wasn't even a question that I was going to put together a CD and record it. Yeah, so it's all
nice.
All my original flamenco compositions.
Oh, wow!
There's one cover, so it's on all the platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, the whole.
Oh, nice! I love that. I love that. This is how I feel that really life is. It's just we've got all these compartments, and it's time for us to recognize we're so much more than our bodies. We're so much more than, we're not just spirit. We're having this physical experience for a reason. We're evolving. We're just, it's sort of like saying, you know, your skin, that's it. That's you. There's so much underneath it. You know, there's so much beyond that we can't see, our energy body and all these, it's just so amazing. So if I was to, I know you also have a book, and that's, now what's that pertaining to?
So that book is called Obstacles Equals Opportunities, or Obstacles Equal Opportunities in Business. And it's a compilation. So I was invited to contribute a chapter to this book, which I decided I wanted to do because I know I have a book in me and I wanted to see what that process was like.
Get started, right?
Yeah, I wanted to get started. And so it was all about how, or my chapter is all about how, like, basically about my health journey, about my music journey, and, you know, the way that I created businesses all the way along.
Wow. So what a diverse life, and juicy, all kinds of different aspects. So your primary focus now is the yoga for health, for gut health. Is would you say it became that's the thing? If you can get your gut healthy, all the rest of the stuff will start to come together, or is it just another, like a broken foot?
Well, I mean, we certainly understand pretty clearly that I like to say that even car accidents can be linked to gut health issues because, you know, if you've got brain fog because of what you ate for breakfast or what is going on in your gut, then, you know, it's a contributor. Let's just say that. But
actually, you know, that is so bizarre because if you think about it, you're stressed. People, you know, you get ulcers, stress, stomach ulcers, brain fog, all those things. And it's really interesting because a previous interview I just did on a near-death experience, which Charlotte Lamenda, and she was talking about that is exactly what caused her accident. It was stress that caused her to not be thinking clearly. And it was she died. She had an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience. Luckily, her 3 children were in the car with her, and they had minor injuries. A person in the other vehicle, one of the people died, and one of them survived. But that was her big message. If you're distracted, if you're, feeling like super stressed and you're not thinking clearly, like you don't have to be drinking or using drugs to be impaired or distracted. Our stressful society is creating a lot. So, even though it may have, you're thinking, oh, gut health causing a car accident, you think about it.
Like, oh, good one, right?
But true. Very true.
To a degree. Yeah, for sure. And it's also like, if you think about, say, joint pain, that's related to gut health. Every degradation that happens in our body as we age comes back to the gut. So if you have a healthy gut, then yes, and so it's the door in, but then all of the energetic stuff. I mean, one of the things that I say to my clients is you've got to deal with your nervous system. If you want to digest well, it's not just about eating the right foods for you. It's not just about taking the right supplements. It's about clearing your nervous system.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer that the reason why I started to heal after I'd been on the uncomfortable diet for quite some time and then started doing yoga is because I was eating right. And then I cleared out my nervous system. Right. Because that's what yoga does. Not every yoga does it. I used to think that, oh, well, if a person's doing yoga, then that can't be the problem. But I've had clients who do yoga and then they come to my class and their gut starts to get better.
Okay. So if I'm watching this and I've got gut issues, or what would that look like? Would I phone you up, make an appointment, go to a class? What's the protocol? What's your process?
What's the pathway for that?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I have a Gutsy type quiz. And so again, Ayurveda works on the principles of the 5 elements, which breaks down into 3 different constitutional aspects. So we can digest, and I'll just give a quick example, which is appetite. So if you have a really high appetite, that's one. If you have like a low but steady appetite, that's a second one. And the third one is that it's variable. It might go between one and the other, right? Where you're sometimes really hungry and sometimes not hungry at all. So I end up helping people kind of short list and actually I would say short circuit their symptoms.
Okay. So they take the quiz and then that gives them the sense of it's their gut that is part of their issue, or whether to come and.
Well, I mean, if the gut is part of the issue, you're going to know it because you're not going to feel well.
Okay. Basically,
if you don't feel well, even if you don't know why you don't feel well.
But does it always show up like a stomach ache or constipation or gas or bloating, or is it always something like that? Or could it be not like no, my gut's fine, but I've got allergies and I've got all these.
Yes. All of the above. Or my skin isn't very good, or I have joint discomfort, or I'm not sleeping well at night, or I have diabetes, so any of these things. I have an autoimmune disorder.
And can the yoga that you in your classes, is it for anyone? Like, can someone who's got joint problems, can they do the yoga, or someone who's?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I'm trained in therapeutic yoga, so I've only got a million different ways of modifying the poses.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this is perfect. So people can go to your website to connect with you. You have all paths lead to our health and well-being. All paths lead there, but sometimes we do want to just give me the magic pill. Okay. I just don't want to. And it's not like that. That's what I'm finding. Like maybe years ago that would be okay. But then again, we only lived to, 40 was like old age. So,
well, we weren't taking pills in those days either.
And we
Right?
exactly, and the food was not being messed with, and the toxins were not in the ground. So we have to deal with our reality. This is the environment that Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about, the environment, how much it plays a part in our development. And when he's talking about the expression of the gene and whatever, the environment is critical. So if you don't say that the plant is bad if it's in a bad environment. It's nothing wrong with the plant. It's the soil and the air and the whatever. So you got to move the plant into a better environment and it'll thrive. And we're the same way. But it's not one thing. It's, with the plant, it's not always one thing.
And the thing is that, again, why is it that some of us are living okay and we're living just fine in the environment?
Good point.
Maybe not eating a perfect diet. It's like, how is it that some people are more resilient than others?
Mm-hmm.
I can say I used to not be a particularly resilient person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm now incredibly resilient.
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really important observation, and also for people who are listening to ask themselves that question. And I do notice that people will sometimes simplify something like, oh, that person look at them, they're just living their life, they're happy, they're blah, blah, blah. It's because they don't care. They don't care about all that terrible things happening. They're not willing to. And it's like, we're so conditioned that if we don't all do groupthink, like if we don't all have those, if everybody's sad, we all got to get on the sad bandwagon. And I always say to people, when someone's having their happy, let them have it. Because when they have their sad day, that happy memory is going to be what carries them through. Don't try to make people think you have to all be angry at the same time, all be sad, all be, people don't want to get on a fight for this thing because they're cowards. No.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not their battle. Maybe that is not their battle. Maybe it is yours. It doesn't mean your battle's wrong for you, but it's time for us to step back and look at ourselves collectively, but also as individuals. Like I said, my fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, could be, if I listened to the people around me, it was genetic. It was your mother had arthritis, it's autoimmune, of course you're going to have it. No. And she took the route of medication and painkillers and so forth because that was her path. But it was a perfect example for me to look at and go, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. Not because she was wrong for doing that path, but because I knew I had my own power, my own body, my own life, my own dreams. So this is where we got to get off there's a time and a place for being part of the collective mission, whatever, and you'll feel attracted to it. But if it's not your thing, don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel...
No, exactly not. And we all have different paths and we're all here to affect change in different arenas.
Right, exactly.
I get it that in some cases, I heard something recently that says, we have a bit of a democracy problem in that, lobbyists can tell us what to think and then we vote accordingly. So, I get that.
And they're absolutely, but we also have part of a problem with democracy because it's supposed to involve people. And if people are giving up their power by either believing a lobbyist, not doing their own research, not showing up to vote, not showing up to hold people accountable, like that's democracy. We participate in it. And
we have to participate. And it doesn't mean that we need to go to every rally either.
No, absolutely not. And but we want labels, like people say, oh, that's why we have to have participatory democracy. It's like, you need a label. When I was in grade 8, we took civics in school, and that taught us all about our Canadian democracy and our system, which is we are a constitutional monarchy. We are not a republic. We are not like the United States. We do not do things like the United States. We're not even exactly the same as England, which is where we got our system from. But it's like they want something to fight against instead of looking at, wait a second, how does our system work? And how do I work within the system to actually affect change? How can I be part of it? And I ran in a couple of elections and was very involved in politics for a number of years.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it immensely because it forced me to look into our system, to understand it, to see how is it that these things are happening. I'm not, saying that it doesn't need change. It does, but it's change from the grassroots, and that we're always talking about forming groups to do it. We always need a group. No, we don't need a group. We just need to educate ourselves. Here's the system. Here's how it works, and use it. Like, you don't need a group of people to say, oh, let's have the group that votes. Okay. Like, we
don't necessarily need to get everybody all riled up and angry either, because then you're going to have gut issues.
Yes, exactly. And heart attacks and, on and on it goes.
Yeah,
right?
all of the stressors that go with it.
Actually, that's what happened to my dad. He felt sick to his stomach and he ended up with a massive heart attack. But this is a long, long, long time before anybody was talking about even Candida or any of that stuff. So
or inflammation.
Or inflammation, exactly.
Right, which is another piece of that. And it's, again, related to heart attacks.
So again, we're taking medications to make the symptoms go away instead of letting those symptoms be your indicators to change your lifestyle, change your beliefs, change your what you value, the way you're doing things, to examine your life in a more holistic way, in a more so you're not just looking at the gut, you're looking at how the gut is affecting everything
how it
else.
Interacts with everything else, and how everything else interacts with your gut.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
So.
It is powerful. And again, coming back to the belief work, it's about shifting those deep subconscious beliefs that maybe have people making poor choices.
Yeah.
Or choices that don't serve them. Or, you can't believe how many times I hear people say, oh, I know what to do. I just need to be more disciplined. Mm-hmm. It's like, if that's your own self-talk, then it's not about you being more disciplined. This is one of the things that we talk about in, my work, is that when we're out of balance, we crave things that make us more out of balance. And when we're in balance, if we start to go out, we're going to crave something that's going to bring us back into balance.
Okay, so that
if a person is out of balance and they've got a lot of cravings, being more disciplined isn't necessarily going to solve that.
Right, because
especially if we're dealing with like a rebel personality. I was talking with somebody about this earlier today. It's like, as soon as I tell myself I can't have it, then I want it.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, there are ways to deal with that, and they're not as complicated as we think.
So you deal with, in your yoga practice, you deal with gut, you deal with belief systems.
So my yoga program, we talk about the gut. We do things for the gut. We do things to balance your Ayurvedic type. But then I also do one-on-one coaching and group programs where we go into that stuff a lot more. We touch on those things in the yoga program so that I see it as being something that works for someone who's almost there or who has done my program already. Okay.
All right. So, and then your concert, you have a concert coming up for your guitar.
I do. Yeah. And what I want to say to your listeners is, if you're listening to the podcast after the fact and you would like to know when my upcoming performances are, because I will put them on my website. You can go to hollyblazina.com or get onto my mailing list. So that's one way.
From the website?
On my website, yeah. And then there's one thing too that I just really want to invite your listeners to do, which is on my health website, biggutsylife.com. Your listeners can book a free session with me to make a plan for their health.
Cool.
Yeah. So I feel it's tremendously valuable because it allows you to sit down and like really take stock, really get a fresh perspective on what's happening with your health. And I'm not attached at all to whether people decide they want to work with me or not. My main goal with those sessions is that people leave with a piece of clarity and knowing something new that they didn't know before.
Yeah. It's the healthier people are in our world, the healthier our world is, and we benefit. We benefit. And so there's nothing, there's nothing positive about seeing somebody who's down and out. That's not helping my world at all. Helping them up, giving them a hand up is going to actually enhance my world, which is sometimes people don't quite get that, but that's the truth. I mean,
absolutely. And isn't it what we're all meant to do, to be lifting each other up and empowering one another in one form or another?
Yeah, I think so. And I love that. So they just go to your biggutsylife.com and they can get that quiz.
So they can do the Gutsy type quiz. They can sign up for one of my workshops. They can book that free session. So all of that is there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of this with us and doing what you do, because I do think this is where we take our power back. We hear about it. We learn about the tools. We find people who've already sort of made a bit of a path that we can follow. It's not so hard. It's not like walking through the bush and getting thistles on your feet. Somebody's already made the path.
Well, somebody's already made the path. And what excites me is that when you're following someone who's made the path, I mean, it took me a couple of decades to get my health back, but most of my clients start to see results after the first session.
Yeah. Well, you were really, truly clearing the brush, because there wasn't anything. There was no information. I mean, none.
Exactly.
So this is really, it's an empowering time to be alive. And we can stop, I guess is what I'm saying, is we can stop telling ourselves there's nothing we can do. We're broken. The world is, blah, blah, blah. Look at it. There are tools. There may be different tools than your parents had. Probably they are. And we are looking at a different time. So this is perfect. So thank you so much, Holly. I have so appreciated you being with us today.
Oh, I've completely appreciated being here too. I love these types of conversations.
Yes. It's a lot more than 140 characters will give you. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, everyone else. Thank you so much for joining us. And please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about the YouTube channel and the podcast. And until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for subscribing or following, liking, and sharing the podcast. It helps me grow this channel and hopefully reaches more people with an empowering message. It's always nice to know there is wisdom out there and you can tap into it. Visit the website for more information on how to be a guest, see the guest list and future shows and topics. And while you're there, I invite you to browse my acrylic art pieces on canvas and wood. They make an amazing home decor, high vibe art. And you'll also find the link to my storefront for luxurious women's fashions and home decor, created and designed by me with my art and manufactured in Montreal, Canada by Le Galeriste. And it is really amazing to have found them. They are environmentally conscious. They use a special dye that doesn't fade, and it's humanely manufactured. It is an awesome time to be on the planet and have these choices. So I invite you to explore and see if there is something there for you. Until next time, take care.